All right. Oh, we're going to be recording now. So whatever we say will be online forever.
Dear colleagues,
Okay.
I'm sorry for stepping in for your very nice informal chatting. Macmillan from Ukraine, Macmillan office in Ukraine, are greeting all guests from all over Ukraine today. And I want to just remind you that it is our second day of online conference that we are having these days. And the session that you watched yesterday, so for those who missed it, it will be shortly available on our site, macmillanyukraine.com, in archive. Please check that you know all the news, which are quite, I think, important to you. And today we have a great pleasure to introduce the author of the book, which is getting very, very popular in Ukraine. And we recently got very positive feedback from schools and preschool groups who started using your book, Learning Stars. They were very happy with the results that they achieved by the end of school year. So, and we are very happy to introduce you here for our teachers. And I'm pretty sure that we'll get even more inspiration throughout this webinar. So thank you for agreeing to be with us today.
My pleasure.
Great. So Jeanne Perrett, the author of Learning Stars, Book 1, Book 2, and we, as far as I remember, you also have the special edition for three-year-old kids, right?
That's right. That's right. Yes, yes. Little Learning Stars. Yes.
Great, great. So I'm giving the floor to you.
Thank you.
Go with the session.
Okay. Thank you, Oksana. Thank you. Thank you very much. Lovely. Right. Okay. Off we go. So, well, I've already met some of you. We've now got 105 participants. That's good. And as I say, I'm speaking to you from sunny Greece. So there we are. There's a nice introductory photo of us in the summer, some family and friends there. All right. So first of all, personal news. I've now, since I last spoke, I think I spoke to you last year or the year before. Anyway, we've now got 5 grandchildren, 5 of them. So I think that this now makes me more than ever qualified to speak to you about knowing what we're going to do with our kindergarten children. And so that's why I've called the title of my talk is, What Shall We Do with the Little Ones Today? Okay, all right. Now then, I know that it's fairly new for you to be teaching very, very young learners, and that the children used to start in 3rd grade, and now they start earlier. So there are sort of slightly different things that we have to bear in mind when we're teaching the very young learners. I'm going to be referencing the books that Oksana mentioned. So Learning Stars is a 3-level course for young learners by me, Jeanne Perrett, and by my co-author Jill Layton, who is our phonics expert. And so there's Little Learning Stars for the very, very young learners, and then Learning Stars 1 and Learning Stars 2 for the young learners. And there are also activity books, maths books, flashcards, all sorts of things that you can, and of course, the teacher's books that go with this course. Okay. All right. Oh, and of course, one of our most important people here is Horsey, who is a puppet. He is a big part of Learning Stars, and he's always very, very excited when he can come along to a webinar. So these Horsey puppets, they are also available. Okay, so that's Horsey. He's really the star of the show. So he's a character, but he's also a puppet that you can get for your class. Okay, so when we start teaching the little ones, we need to think of our priorities. And as I say, when it's a new thing, when you haven't been teaching English to the little ones. Sometimes you think, oh, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? But our number one priorities are not to do with learning English. Our number one priorities are to do with the children as people. So first of all, we have to care for them, keep them safe, and then get to know them, their characters as they are, nurture them as they are. So you accept children as they are, but then with that, you help them develop and learn. So you're not trying to change children, you're trying to help them develop their potential. And then at that early age, of course, it's very important that you get them used to school routines. As I'm sure you know, in the first month, a lot of it is getting them used to being in the school building and what they have to do. And then encouraging them to be sociable. Okay, so actually encouraging them to be sociable is a life skill. And it's one of the most important skills. So getting them to learn how to share, how to talk to each other, how to communicate. So those are our number one priorities. Now we get on to the actual content of our lessons. Now then, I don't know if you've got with you a notebook or something to write down. You might want to make a note of the list of these things here. Okay. So what can we include in our lessons? So, of course, songs and chants. Of course, listening and speaking. We're going to be doing a lot of oral work with the little ones. And then cognitive activities, puzzles and games, all to do with language learning. And then even if they're not actually reading and writing in the first grade, you still need to have letter, word and number awareness. Okay, you're not going to get them off reading for the first go, but they do need to start to become aware of the English alphabet, of words, sight words, and then number awareness. Okay, and then through that, you're going to do pre-writing. Then you can also do dramatic play, projects and craft work, some more active work as well. Then the big wide world, in other words, you're going to be introducing them to something, you'll be increasing their knowledge of the world in some way. And then life skills. So life skills for this age will be things like how to use the bathroom, when to use the bathroom, how to ask to go to the bathroom, how to put away how to keep the classroom tidy, what is healthy food to eat in the break. All of these things are an important part of their growing up. So now then, basically, that is your lesson plan. You can use, if you've got in your mind those activities that you're going to do, you don't have to do them all every lesson. Can I just ask you, you can put it in the chat box, how long usually are your lessons in the first grade? How many minutes? Is it 45 minutes? 45, 45, 45. Thank you. 20 minutes, that's good. I always find that's better, a shorter lesson. 35. Okay. I always think actually for first grade, 45 is a bit too long. And you're lucky if you have a 30-minute lesson. Okay, thank you. So if you look at that list and you keep that list with you, you never need to be stuck for an idea of a type of activity. Okay, so in one lesson, you might, if you've got 45 minutes, you might do a little bit of everything. Because the children are not going to be spending a long time on each activity. Or you might be doing 2 or 3, or maybe you're just going to do maybe one project. But it's more likely you're going to be doing a variety of those different activities. So as I say, I make a note of that. And then I really feel that at this age, your most valuable tools are the teacher's books. For a start, they are packed with ideas, packed with advice, packed with suggestions, activities. A lot of work has gone into those teacher's guides. When the children get older, and you're in like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, you don't need the teacher's guide so much because it's always very, very clear on the page of the student's book exactly what to do, because you've got more reading, more writing. You can just go through the lesson in the book. When we're talking about younger learners, you definitely need to also look at your teacher's book. I believe that you don't need then to make your own lesson plans. Your lesson plans are in there. But of course, what will happen is that you will start to modify the lessons as you go through the year. What works well with your students? What was a successful activity? What else came to mind? But definitely start off with the teacher's guide before you go in. It's all very clear. It's very easy for you to, you won't have to do a lot of preparation, easy for you to get through. So that's my first bit of advice. Use your teacher's books. All right, now I'm going to start off with, as I say, the children won't be reading and writing first thing, but what you can do is you can start to get them used to the idea of the English alphabet and how to read and how to play around, that we're going to be communicating in a different way. Within the books, there are all the songs and the chants and the activities. There's everything in all the audio that you need to do is in the books. So these are like extra activities to give you ideas for quite short times in the classroom. So vocabulary and letter games. So for instance, you could give the children little trays or bowls of lentils or sand or flour or salt, and you can show them how they write letters with their fingers. So if you're going to be doing the letter A, then they can draw it with their finger as well in the flour, let's say. You can also make letters from plasticine. This takes a nice lot of time as well. Basically, you're going to be thinking of maybe doing activities in 10-minute slots, okay? Because as we know, with the little ones, a lot of it is about organizing them. Yeah, getting them to sit down and finding their things. They've lost something. Somebody's taken their plasticine. The plasticine's gone on the floor. My advice is to plan, to have in your mind lots of different activities, but plan to do 2 or 3 of them so that you're always reaching your goals rather than thinking, oh, I didn't do enough. Okay, so you can go quite slowly with the little ones. And then hula hoops, you know, the ones that you put round your waist, you do your hula hoop. I don't mean the things you eat. There are some crisps called hula hoops, not them. So hula hoops, you can put them on the floor or in the playground. And then you can put flashcards of letters or of images or actual objects into the hula hoops. So you might have 3 different hula hoops on the floor. One with A, one with B, one with C, yeah? And then you say, okay, A, and they've got to jump in the right hoop. C, they've got to jump from A to C. B, and then you can take out, then you could put the images, so apple, ball, cat, yeah? Ball, B, ball, and they've got to jump in the right hula hoop. These are the kind of things, if it's nice weather, that you could do outside in the playground. They're the kind of things you could do in the break as well. And also, these little activities are good for if the children are getting tired, they don't want to sit down, they want to do something. They can keep learning all the time. Okay. All right. More vocabulary and letter games. So for instance, hang on a second, let me just refresh this feed here. Yeah. Put flashcards around the room in different corners of the room. So again, you might be doing D, E, F, yeah? And you might be doing the sounds D, F. All right. You can call out the sound of the letter F. Where's the F? Where's the F? And then you can get Horsey. Horsey can be your friend. He's got to gallop to the right card. And then you do it again, and they've got to gallop or skip to the right card. This is all just like, lexical awareness, really, and phonic awareness. You could make a little post box, make a letter or a word eater. So it's a funny little post box which eats cards. So the children put it in. It's just a little extra thing that you can make to have in your classroom. If you go to the MacmillanYoungLearners.com site, and then you'll find on MacmillanYoungLearners.com, you'll find the site for Learning Stars, and then go into the teacher site, the teacher part of it. And there are loads of, if you're learning Learning Stars, I think you have a code. If you're using Learning Stars, I think there's a code. There are some activities that you can all access, and then there are some activities that you have to have a code for. And there are lots of downloadable extra activities, worksheets, and ideas that you can get from that site. And you get the template for this little post box from that site. So it's worth checking that out. All right, more ideas. A fishing game. If you've got your flashcard, okay, if you've got your flashcard like this, and then you put on your flashcard, you put a metal paper clip on the flashcard, and then you get a magnet, a horseshoe magnet, and you can call out a word or a letter, and you can let Horsey do it first. You hold the magnet over the correct card, and of course the metal paper clip is attracted to the magnet. It's just a matching game or a pointing game. And then what you could do is you could tie the magnet onto a piece of string and tie that onto a stick and make a fishing rod. And you can have this. So instead of them just finding the flashcard, they can magnetize it, they can fish it up. Okay. And then, those letters you get, the magnetic letters you put on the fridge. You could buy a pack of them, the English letters, or you could make cards of them. And then you need 2 of each letter. So you've got like A, B, 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 C, C. You put them choose like 6 of them. 2 A's, 2 B's, 2 C's, 2 D's, 2 E's, 2 F's, all right, on a desk. And then you cover the letters with paper cups, plastic cups. And then what they've got to do, they're all in random order. Then the children take up a cup. What letter is it? B, okay. Where's another B? Can you find the other B? No, that's A. Cover them up again. So it's a memory game. It's a memory game, yeah. And then I wouldn't do it with the whole alphabet. You can do that with words, but again, you're going to need every word on a card twice. Okay. So these are. I don't know if I'm giving you enough time if you want to make a note of these, but as I say, I think the presentation is going to be available. Yes, it will be available on the website later. So if you don't have time to make notes now, and also a lot of these ideas are in the teacher's books anyway. Okay. All right. Now then, what about water writing? So here you do not need a whiteboard. If you've got a whiteboard, you can't do this. If you've got a blackboard or a green board, a chalkboard, you can do this. And so you dip your finger in the water. Okay. So first of all, you dip your finger in the water, and then you're going to write on the board A. All right. Can the children say the word or the letter before the water dries? So if you're going to write this, you're going to write, say, A, P, P, L, E. But of course, at the same time, the water will be drying. So they've got to guess the words, remember the words, read the words quickly before the water dries. This helps them with their sight reading. All right. And then, of course, the children can start to write letters with their fingers on the board. Okay. And then another one which is similar is with invisible ink. So children write with a small stick or a cotton bud on white paper with lemon juice. So you have white paper and a little thing of lemon juice, okay? And they write on it again like a apple, all right? Now, that will hardly be visible. Lemon juice on white paper will hardly be visible. But then what you can do is you take the paper, so you write secret messages, you see, secret letters. You take the paper and you put it on a radiator or near a radiator, and the lemon juice turns brown and you can read it, yeah? Or you can put them in the sun. So we're not going to have very much sun in the winter, I don't think. You'll probably be better off with the radiator. So then, you know, you could have groups of different children. They could work in pairs. What word has, you know, Maria written? Let's see. And we've got to put it by the radiator to find out. So these are all writing games. They're all pre-lexical games, okay? To get them really just enjoying the English language in its written form without it being a major part of the lesson. Because I know they've got to learn it at this young age. They've got to learn their own language first. All right. Here's another idea, and it's a similar one. If you get a white wax crayon and a sheet of white paper again, and again you're going to write A, B, C. And then you get your paints with water, your poster paints, and you just paint over the writing, and the white word will be revealed. So this is where you could prepare this for them, first of all. Yeah, I've got a secret word and they can hardly see it, the white on the white. What have I written? And maybe you've written something like, I love you, or hello, good morning. And then they're gonna paint and their message will be revealed. This would be a nice way to get them. You could write each of their names and give them. And then they've got to paint. What does that say? That's your name. Okay. And then gradually, then they can write words and give messages to each other like that. We're going through all these ideas quickly. In the classroom, that would take, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes to do, really, wouldn't it? By the time they've all settled down with their paints and then they've lost something and then somebody spilt some water. And so, you know, you can get lots of these. You can just do a couple of these activities, one a day of these would be okay, because then you're going to do all the other things. You're going to be doing the singing and the chanting and the dramatic play and the projects. All right. Use picture flashcards. Okay, so cut a hole. So you've got your picture flashcard, all right? You got your picture. I don't have a picture here. Anyway, you've got your picture, and then you cut a hole. You get a piece of paper and cut a hole in the piece of paper. Put the paper on the flashcard, and only part of the image will be visible, so that you can move it around. Can they guess what it is? Yeah? So again, you know, they can do it. They can do it with each other. Once you have shown them how to play these games, they could play these games in groups in a table. It's quite nice at this age if they're sitting in groups of 4 at a table, because they don't all need to be looking at the board in your English lesson. You know, I think children need to be in rows when they've got to really, really focus on what the teacher's doing. But here you hand a lot of the lesson over to the children. So you can arrange the lesson in groups, really. Okay, arrange the classroom in groups. All right, now what about colors? So, of course, they need to learn all the colors. And you can just do a color a day. All right. So you're not going to teach them all the colors all at once, red, yellow, green, blue, etc. That's okay. So today we're learning about red, and you've got red paints, red crayons, red paper, and let them create red pictures. Anything that's red, they're going to do one color pictures. All right. You could turn this into, you could use the life skills aspect of this. So for example, you could make a red salad for them to eat in the break. So you then you start to get the ideas from them. What vegetables can we put in our salad? So tomatoes. They will tell you in Ukrainian, they will tell you the vegetables. You say, oh, good, yes, a tomato. Let's get a tomato. A red pepper, red cabbage. Or we can make a fruit salad. Let's have strawberries. Let's have cherries. So when they give you ideas in their language, then you give them the words back to them. It'll gradually all go in. Okay, let's go for a color walk. So again, you could do this in the playground. You can do it in the classroom if you can't go out. Let's find yellow things today. Okay, what's yellow? Find yellow things and bring them to me. I only want yellow things. Yellow, yellow, yellow. Okay. Or you could go out into the playground. Can you find something yellow? You might find a flower. You might find a piece of paper. You might find an autumn leaf. Okay, who can find something red? But keep it focused. Let's just find yellow things today. Tomorrow we're going to find green things. Green things is always easy to find in a color walk. When you are doing all these very, very simple activities, try to speak to the children in English nearly all the time. The more you can immerse them in the language, the better it is for them. Do not expect them. Your goal here will be for them to learn one word, red. Okay. But within that, you can make a proper big English speaking environment. I really think that the most important gift you can give children at this age is your enthusiasm for the lesson that you are teaching. And I firmly believe that that is what remains with children. Yes, they will gain from you some knowledge. Yes, they will gain from you some skills. Yes, but most of all, it will be how you made them feel about what you are teaching them. Okay? So if you show them that you enjoy speaking English, that you like speaking English, that you love reading English, that you like writing English, that will be contagious. And that is probably the most important thing you have to do all year. Everything else you can change easily, because we all make mistakes when we're teaching. We do things wrong, we forget things, we do a bad lesson, we haven't remembered to teach them something. All sorts of things go wrong. But the main message that you love your subject and that you know that they can also be good at this subject, that they can also do this, that is what will stay with them. That is what will stay with them. Okay, more color games. So let's do, so now, of course, all the time we're trying to get their brains ticking over. So, you know, these are sort of, cognitive activities. So if you've got the crayons, the wax crayons, place them in order. Red, yellow. What comes next? Okay, red, yellow. And then gradually make the sequence more challenging. Red, yellow. Red, yellow. Now what comes next? So these things will help their brain power generally. And then like the color walk, so I spy. That's easy. I can see something green. All right. So the children will point. Now, they won't know the name for the green thing that you've seen, but when they point to it and say it, it's a book, it's a bag. Oh, yes, it's a book, a green book. That's very good. And gradually give them the words that they need. All right. All right, number games. So this is something you can do before the break. So give the children a plate of raisins. All right. And you're going to hand them round. Okay. And you're going to ask them to take one raisin. All right. This teaches self-control as well. All right. Just one. They each have one raisin. One. All right. And then the next day or at the end of the lesson, okay, now I want you to have 2, 1, 2. So it's all going and they count it and they say it. All right. And then again for numbers. So write the numbers Write the numbers on the card. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And have them in different places on the table or around the room. And ask the children to put one pencil. Say, pencil. I want one pencil on number 1. Okay. So they put one pencil. Okay. But if everybody puts one pencil, it's not 1. Okay. So no, not everybody, just one pencil. All right. Now then, 2 pencils by the number 2. Okay. 3 pencils, and they've got to work out. And here they've also got to start negotiating actually with each other. Who's going to leave the one pencil? Who's fastest? You've got to be careful there as well. You have to help them with their negotiations, because if you've got like, a big pushy child that's pushing the others out the way to get their pencil on, then you can say, no, you can wait until put it on the number 2 or something. Don't just let the sort of the biggest and the fastest one get there. They also can get it, but make sure that you've got your mind on the ones who are shy as well. Okay. All right. Okay, so again with a break time activity, when they have their healthy snack. So again, you're going to combine what they're learning with what their life skills, what they're doing at the same time. So write 1, 2, 3, 4 on paper plates. All right, cut up fruit, put 1 piece of apple on the plate, 2 pieces of banana, 3 bits of oranges. Okay. And then you can tell them what they're going to have. They're going to make their fruit plates for their break. All right. They have 4 raisins, 1 bit of apple, 1 piece of banana. And then just do as you do with children all the time. Just count all the time. As you hand out the books, you're going to be counting all the time. You walk down the stairs with me, they're counting the stairs. Everything you do, just all the time, keep giving them this input of this very simple language that you're teaching them. Okay, classroom routines. As I said, it's very important that the children get used to the classroom routines. So what you can do is you can have a musical tidy up. So you give half of the group, half of the class, tambourines or drums. All right, and you're going to be beating out a rhythm. And then the other half will be putting the books away or putting the crayons in the tins or something, whatever tidying up you need to do, while the other half are bang, 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 bang. Okay, and the others are tidying up. And then the following day, the other half of the group have other musicians, and they're drumming the beat, and the other ones tidy up. You can sing all these chants and everything, they're all in the books. There's lots of songs and chants to do your daily routines in the classroom. Okay. And then, of course, part of the classroom routines is being polite to each other, handing things to somebody nicely, etc. So you can play this as a game. You sit in a circle, hand round a paper plate. Each time you get it, you must say thank you. So it's going, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. And then you can build it up. So that's learning to be polite. Okay. And then everybody has to say, here you are. Thank you. Here you are. Thank you. That's actually a lot more complicated. Okay. Having to say 2 things. So don't be surprised if that all goes horribly wrong. But you help them. Yeah. It's a lot to remember to say, here you are. The other one says, thank you. And then you've got to take another one. Thank you. Here you are. What am I saying now? Here you are. Thank you. All right. And then you can make it more challenging by placing an apple on the plate. Okay. So can they balance the apple on the paper plate and hand it? Here you are. Thank you. Here you are. Thank you. The apple will go on the floor. All right. Or you could put a biscuit, which will be easier. All right. But it's funnier with an apple. All right, and then, as I said, you can do lots of different drama activities with the children. So, for instance, you could have a magic box. So all you need here is just a shoe box, which you've decorated with some paper or something. Okay. And then in that box is anything you want. So you take imaginary items out of your specially decorated box. So, and then you interact with your imaginary items. So for instance, you could pull out the night. What's this? Oh, the stars. So beautiful. I can hear an owl. Tweet-woo, tweet-woo. I'm sleepy. And then they have to guess what it was that you pulled out of the box. And you'd be surprised, the children will think of it, okay. And again, they won't know the word. So you say, yes, it was the night. Yes, it was the night. And then you can pull out the rain. Oh, no, help. And you put up an umbrella. It's raining, it's raining. Pull out an apple. What's this? Oh, what is it? What is it? That'll be easy for them. It's an apple. That one's an easy one. The night and the rain, you know, they're different concepts, really. Pull out an elephant. Oh, what a big animal I've got here. And then when you've done it a few times, then the children will get the idea and they'll be doing all sorts of things. Yes, that's right. Yeah, guessing games. Yeah, exactly. Now, here's another guessing game, actually, but it's use some language. All right. Now then, you show the children a choice of different characters. You could have this on flashcards. So, for example, a giant, a king, a dragon, a mouse. All right. And they're going to choose one of them. They're not going to tell anybody. They go outside the door and then they knock on the door. And everybody says, come in. And then when they come in, they have to act in character. So if they're a giant, they have to come in being big. If they're a king, they will be stately. If they're a mouse, they're going to be like that. And then the children guess who's come in. Okay. Now, of course, you can do this with language as well. You've got to speak like a giant or speak like a king. So they can come in and say, hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Whatever it is, something simple that they can remember. All right. Okay. All right. This is for when they've got a little bit more language. So this will be definitely, you'll be doing this like after Christmas, when they've got a little bit more. You can tend to be looking at a photograph of the children and you describe what you see. So for example, Maria is flying a kite and there's the little girl. She's flying a kite and then she's heard her name. And then she has to act out, I'm flying a kite. Pavlos is riding a horse. What a nice photo of you, Pavlo. You're riding a horse. And then Pavlos pretends to ride a horse. Tara is climbing a mountain. All right. So as you describe their actions, the children mime the movements. And if you just get the basics of that exercise, there are lots of different things. I think you'll see later, lots of different ways you can use a simple activity like that. It's just simple miming for the present continuous, but it personalizes it. As soon as you personalize anything, it all becomes a lot more fun. Yeah, Tara is courageous. Ah, and somebody's got a magic box. Excellent, excellent. Okay. All right. And then how are you today? So with the children, we think of different ways we can feel. All right. So we're going to be thinking about these emotions. All right. This will be a whole lesson you'll have been doing. Maybe you're just doing the words happy and sad. All right. So we can think of different ways we're going to be. And then you practice saying simple dialogues in different ways. So let's have the simple dialogue. Hello. What's your name? Okay, my name's Tara. Okay. Now say it as if you're happy. Hello, what's your name? My name's Tara. Okay, you're happy. And then say exactly the same thing, but as if you're sad. Okay. Hello, what's your name? My name's Tara. Okay. All right, what about if you're angry? How would you say hello, what's your name if you're angry? Hello, what's your name? Right. My name's Tara. All right, etc. So basically, this is what you're doing here is you are drilling language. Okay, you are drilling language. It's just simple repetition. You are going to get the children to say, hello, what's your name? My name's Tara, again and again and again, because the most important way that we can get familiar with language is by using it all the time. We need to practice, 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 practice. And this is a simple way of practicing without them realizing that they're just drilling. You're just drilling the language. They don't even realize that you're saying it so many times. And then what you could do, you see, all these activities, they take some time to set up the first time. All right. And then once you've established the activity, you can do them again and again and again. Children like repetition. They like to do the same things again. They're going to want to do these games again and again and again. All right. So you need to put proper effort in the first time. The second time, the third time, you'll be saying, shall we play happy and sad? Yes. And then they play the game again. They'll know what it is. So basically, you just build up a routine throughout the school year of all the different games you're going to get. Okay, all right, we're nearly finished now, actually. And so this is my last activity, I think. Yeah, this is the last one. We're almost bang on time. That's good. And this is one where you can do where you're looking at the parts of the body, and you do it as if the children are in a mirror. So they're in pairs, standing facing each other. All right. So there's another child there. So then I say, this is my nose. And the other child's got to do it and say it. This is my nose. This is my mouth. These are my eyes. This is my head. And then, or you might, if that's too much, just do nose, mouth, ear, eye. And the other child's got to do it at exactly the same time, like a mirror image. And then you do it faster. Nose, mouth, ear, eye, hand. And of course, then you can do it with arms and legs. And then it'll all get out of control. And that's actually, oh my God, I usually run over on time. I was so worried about not going over on time that I spoke more quickly today. Okay, so that's it from me. We've got 3 minutes. Have you got any questions? Thank you for all your comments in the box. Do you have any quick questions? It's been very nice to be with you. I wish you all the very, very best in your school year. And I think you've got another webinar coming up now. All right. Okay. All right. Yes, Oksana, now you know what to do with them. Yes. Well, thank you very much. And thank you, Macmillan, Ukraine, for asking me to do this. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I hope I see you in the flesh again one day.
Dear Jeanne, thank you very much. You made everyone happy here. And we are considering your visit to Ukraine, and Helen will get in touch with you to be able to hug you personally.
Lovely. Okay, one of these days, yes. All right, thank you very much then. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Looking forward.
Same to you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye. And dear teachers, so we are waiting for our next presenter, who is Parr, but we're going to start it at 3. So you're having 15 minutes to have a coffee break, maybe some physical exercise, so to keep fit, whatever you like. So stay with us. So we continue in 15 minutes. second day of our online conference. For those who missed the session yesterday, I will remind that all the materials will be available on our site, macmillanyukraine.com, in archive shortly, so just check the information. And today I'm happy to introduce the person who came to Ukraine in October, and we were really excited to have Anna Parr in Ukraine with her talk on teaching vocabulary. And today, so the topic will be about teaching primary students. Anna Parr is a teacher trainer, a CELTA trainer, a lecturer of methodology at university, just a person who is able to inspire all of us and make ready for our school year. So Anichka, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, we can.
Lovely.
Could you please turn on?
Yeah, hello, everybody. My name is Anna, and first and foremost, I'm a teacher, and I specialize in teaching English to very young learners and to young learners. I'm also a graduate of early years pedagogy, so my field of expertise is the pre-primary and lower primary students. So they're like in the middle of my heart. And today we will be talking about young learners and what we can do with them at the very beginning of their adventure with English. And so I've prepared this presentation to be a little bit interactive. So if you don't mind, you might interact with me a little bit in some of the activities. And also, this is a presentation that focuses on very practical ideas, ready-made activities that you can take with you to your classroom. These are all my activities that work for me, and I've checked them. We've practiced them a lot of times within this 17 years of my teaching experience with young learners, and they all work in my classroom, so I hope they might work also in your classrooms. Some of them you probably know, hopefully not all of them, and hopefully I'm not going to repeat all those games and ideas that were in the previous session. And and because they are a little bit interactive, and sometimes I need an illustration of how to do them with a student or how it works in a real classroom. I've got an assistant today, so I'll meet my assistant. This is Ola. Hello. And Ola is going to help us understand the logistics of 2 or 3 activities that I wouldn't be able to tell you about as well as I can show it with her. So if you have a little helper at home, you can easily call them and use them as an assistant when we are trying out some of the activities together. Now, I also need to explain myself that I'm not very experienced with doing online things, so please excuse me if I make any terrible technical mistakes, especially. Yes, I'm much better talking to real people, so yes, I'm quite nervous doing that, talking to the computer. Hopefully you are a very understanding audience and we can do that, okay? Good, so coming to the presentation, we are talking about young learners today, and especially developing basic communication skills for the youngest learners, the learners who are going to start their education in the 1st grade in this year, and they are going to learn this English throughout a lot of years beforehand, and so they are going to need to have a good start, and so this presentation is about giving them a good start, so having them have a good motivation towards future learning of the language, good atmosphere, good feeling about the language. Okay, let me see if I can work that out. Okay, so this is what we are going to look at today. Within the next 40 minutes, we are going to look at like 3 sort of blocks, in this presentation. First of all, we are going to have a look at what we teach, what actually we teach. Well, the obvious answer, of course, is English, but it is a little bit more complicated than that. So we are going to have a look at teaching the language itself as a means of communication. And then we are also going to look at something that is very close to my heart as the graduate of pedagogy, that is developing cognitive skills, because we often think of ourselves as teachers of English. And I would like us to think of ourselves as teachers of young learners, of children. We don't teach English, we teach children. That's why, apart from this linguistic element, we also are responsible for other areas of their early development, cognitive development. So we are going to look at that as well. Then we are going to sort of get to the main point, that is how we teach all these things that the students need to have. So all the skills that they need to have in the language, and also other abilities that are important for life. And obviously, because we are talking about young learners, we are going to talk about play. And we will look at 3 areas of play, that is object play, visual play, and traditional play. So these are all practical ideas. Hopefully you will find something you don't know yet, and something that you would like to try out in your own classroom. And the last thing we are going to have a look is the classroom management, because working with young learners in a classroom, especially offering them play as a methodology of teaching. So things that are quite kinesthetic, things that require movement, require engagement, it might not be so easy to get their attention back. So we are going to look at a few tricks of how you can do that, how I do it with my students, and what works for me. Perhaps it will work for you as well. Okay. So starting with what we teach. Okay, so we teach English. But what does it mean to learn a language? Well, learning a language requires mastering 4 basic skills. That is reading, listening, speaking, and writing. But we are working with young learners that do not have a mastery of reading or writing yet, which means that we have to rely upon the skills that are available. And the skills that are available for us is listening and speaking. These are actually the most important skills in any language learning, because what they lead to is early communication. And language, whatever other reasons people are learning it, mainly it is the means of communication. So we are learning the language to communicate. And so we are going to look at early communication today. Now, we have a tendency of teaching young learners a lot of vocabulary, a lot of words. And so my young learners know a lot of nouns, which is good, which is nice, but they are sort of small dictionaries of nouns. And it's not like you can communicate with nouns only, right? So it doesn't mean much that you know 20 names of animals or 15 names of food if you cannot make a sentence. I tend to tell my students who want to become teachers of young learners that young learners are small, but it doesn't mean that they don't deserve to learn very basic communication skills. And so what we are going to look at is basic ideas of how we can help our students learn the very basic communication skills through the skills of listening and speaking. Okay, now I'm showing off with my Ukrainian. That is non-existent, but I did have help and I know what it says. So, basic communication is generally the most important thing that we are learning a language for. It is recognized as the main objective of early language learning in the Ukrainian core curriculum for foreign languages, and emphasizes the natural ability of young learners to copy new linguistic patterns. And this is something that, this is something that we can use with young learners that is a little bit lost later on. They can very nicely mimic the patterns, the linguistic patterns, and it's quite easy for them to learn those patterns. And so this is very important that we give our learners models and practice that is as authentic as possible. So the conversations, the interactions that we are going to have in the classroom, even with the youngest learners, should be more or less authentic. Of course, it's a classroom situation. It's not a real life situation, but children are very good at getting into the role, and they are going to try and communicate with the language they have in a sort of real life situation. And that's what we are looking for in teaching at the very first stage of the language education. Now, what makes the basis of early communication is something known as formulaic competence. So I'll try to, put the technical things and theory at a minimum, but formulaic competence here is important for me. Formulaic competence is the ability and the knowledge of fixed, longer phrases in the language that help students produce communicative activities, communicative utterances. Okay, so as I said, it's very unlikely you're going to make a conversation using nouns only, but it's very likely you're going to make a good interaction using fixed phrases that are very simple. So here we are looking at routines such as how are you, I'm fine, thank you, collocations, idioms, and lexical frames. Lexical frames being the most important ones. Lexical frames are elements of the language that form the basis of structure of the language, like I can see, I've got, it's a, there is a. Okay, they are very important because they can be used with any set of vocabulary that we are teaching. Okay, I can say I can see a dog and I can see an apple. I can say I have a pencil and I have a brother. I can say it's a lion and it's a pizza. So all the lexical sets that the students are learning require those lexical frames that they can put those little blocks into, making real statement, making a real sentence. Okay, so we are not in kindergarten anymore. We are a little bit older and we want to communicate a little bit, at least. Okay, so starting with routines. Routines are perfect in a classroom because in a classroom, language classroom, or any classroom, routines are something that is always there. There are many situations that repeat themselves throughout the year, throughout the lesson even. So the hello, how are you routine is the one that I introduce for the youngest learners from the first lesson we see each other. We set certain rules, and one of the rules is that I'm going to come into the classroom and I'm always going to use the same exact routine. And I'm going to tell them, hello, students. Some teachers say hello, boys and girls. I say hello, students. And they are going to say hello, teacher, to me. And then I'll ask them, how are you today? And then they will tell me, I'm fine, thank you. And you? And I say, I'm great. And then we sit down and we start the lesson. And this is what we do every single lesson because it's routine. And this is something that helps even the weaker students to get the whole phrase after 7th, 10th time, because we are going to do that every single lesson. So finally, everybody will be able to do that. Also, it gives the feeling to the students that we are in a real life conversation. We are interacting. Okay, so it's not like one word reaction. It's just like very natural sort of communication in real life. It could happen. Other such frames are how old are you? Those questions when we are practicing numbers. How old are you? I'm 6. Okay, who is this? This is Tom. The problem with such activities, though, is that they work only once or a few times if the students don't know each other yet. So what I let my students do to repeat this lexical frame and this interaction, how old are you? I'm 7, I'm 10. So what I do is I ask my students to come up with false identities. Okay, so they get false names, false ages, and then we can repeat the activity over and over again as many times as they feel like. It takes like 3 minutes to do, but it's good practice. It makes the context of a classroom authentic because it's a real question. And my favorite activities are connected with birthdays. Now, birthdays for young learners I don't know if you've got the same experience, but from my experience, birthday is a very important day. So if you're asking a student what's your favorite month of the year, it's definitely the one when they have birthday, because birthdays are important. And we are going to come back to this topic of birthdays, because I always do that whenever I teach this lesson. I always get an interactive activity for birthdays. Very early on, I'm putting a calendar. I think it's a good idea to put a calendar on the classroom wall with all the birth dates of the students written there, so that we know whose birthday is coming next. And so we can, ask, how old are you? And we can sing happy birthday. And this is something pre-planned. All right. Okay. So this is the most basic routine. This is the routine of saying hello. Okay. So if you're teaching young learners, you probably know that typically we start class with a hello song or some sort of hello activity. For me, the best hello activities are such in which there is interaction. Okay, so this is the audio activity from the course book that practices the routine of saying hello. The reason I love it is because it is a three-way dialogue. So in this dialogue, one student says his name, the teacher encourages the class to say hello, and the class say hello to the student. Okay, so we are going to listen to it. It's just an example, and then the students repeat the same song, the same routine with their own names. Okay, so let's see how it works. You keep your fingers crossed that I know how to operate it.
Track 2.
Hopefully you can hear it. Now the teacher says,
say hello. Hello,
now the class.
Hello, Sally.
And not Sally.
Hello.
And one more.
I am Alex. I am Alex.
Alex is
Say
singing.
hello.
That's the teacher.
Say hello. Hello,
And the class.
Hello, Alex.
And Alex responds.
Hello.
Okay, so if I was the student introducing myself first, I would stand up and I would sing, I am Anna, I am Anna. Then the teacher would sing, say hello, and the whole class would say hello to me. Yeah? They would say, hello, Anna. And I would say hello back and sit down. And then another student, and then another student, and as many students as you can fit into the classroom time. Now, the idea is that at the beginning of the year, if the students don't know each other so well, this is also helping with their social development, because socially they are getting to know their names. And so you can play this song more than once, because you've got quite a lot of students. I don't know how many. I've got 25 students in my class that is starting primary school. So within the 25 students, there are surely such that don't know each other's names yet. And so it makes sense to sing the song more than on one occasion. And so we do that. And it gives a feeling of an interaction, of a conversation between three parties. Okay, another element of routine is classroom language. So apart from the instructions that are given by the course book, so what the students have to do in the course book, there are the classroom routines, the classroom instructions that I give to my students. I like them to rhyme. And I like them to rhyme with the first three numbers. I don't know if you do that. It works great for me. I say 1, 2, 3. play with me, for example, and they know what's going to happen. Or 1, 2, 3, follow me. Or 1, 2, 3, come to me. 1, 2, 3, dance or sing with me, or look at me. When the students are a little bit more advanced, so we get to know each other a little bit better, I make this one interactive. So I say 1, 2, 3, eyes on me, and they have to say 1, 2, eyes on you. So when I lose their attention for some reason, because we're playing a game or they are doing an activity in a course book, and now I want the attention back, I say 1, 2, 3, eyes on me, and they have to look at me and they have to say something back, which means there is an interaction between us. And also they need to stop doing what they were doing in order to interact. So I get the attention back. And 1, 2, 3, make a line in front of me. This is something I do at the end of the lesson, okay? When I have to take them to dinner, for example, or to the break between classes, they make a line in front of me. And once they do the line in front of me, they shout out numbers. So they go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I know how many students I've got. Okay, they're very good at that, and they really like it because it's sort of like a game, like fun for them. There are also rhymes for 3 to 1, okay? 3 to 1, let's have some fun, okay? And we can play a game. Or 3 to 1, catch and run. This is the one for vocabulary revision. So I've got the flashcards, pictures of different objects or real objects. And I say 3 to 1, catch and run, Teddy. And one of the students has to run and catch the right flashcard and come back to me, okay? 3, 1, 2 also works well. 3, 1, 2, false or true. So I'm showing them an object, and let's have an example. Okay, so I'm showing them this. Okay, and I say 3, 1, 2, false or true, pencil. Yeah, and they have to say whether it's false or true. Okay, if it's false, then they have to tell me what the true answer is. Okay, so this is very, very simple. All the activities that we are going to look at very quickly today are very simple. Okay, so what do we teach apart from language? Okay, so this is the other part. Okay, apart from language, we teach cognitive abilities, fine motor control, analysis, coordination, perception, categorizing, and reasoning. I'll do it quickly because we just go through the examples. Okay, fine motor skill is the ability to use fingers, to use your hands for precise movements. Very important for future learning to write. Okay, so what we can do is ask students to do activities like join the dots, or follow the line, or color within the line. Okay, so it requires precision, and so the hands have to get skilled. Also, because we're English teachers, we are not only interested in their ability to develop fine motor skills, we want to squeeze in some English. So in this activity, apart from developing motor control, they're also practicing the names of toys. And if we tell them to color, we can do a color dictation, for example, and they will revise colors as well. So I would say, color the ball blue, okay? And they will color it inside the line, okay? Analysis is another one. Analysis is the ability to guess the whole object from its fragment. Also very important with reading development, okay? So you have to be able to recognize a letter and understand what letter it is. To help with that, the first training is analysis. So these elements, these are the activities, 2 of them. One is from the workbook, one is from the course book. Both of them develop students' ability to analyze, okay? So in the first one, the teacher asks, in the first picture, for example, is it a cat? And what the students have to do is to decide, analyze the picture, think whether it might be a cat or not, and then choose the right face. Well, obviously, this is not a cat, okay? And in the second one, they need to decide what toy is being presented, judged by a fragment of the toy, okay? Which is fun, which is like a charade, and students like it. The brain likes to be challenged, and this is a little bit of a challenge for the brain to try and guess what the whole picture is. Right, coordination is all requires all the tasks that require matching. Okay, so following a line. Okay, this is the hand-eye coordination. So redrawing, rewriting, also very important for future learning of writing. So in this activity, you have to move your finger from the question. The teacher reads the question, is it a bear? And then you follow the footsteps of a bear and it leads to a picture. Is it a bear? Is it? Or if it's not, then you have to tell me what it is. Okay. So when you follow that, you will have you'll have a picture. You need to understand what you're looking at. Okay. So here is English and a little bit of coordination development. Okay. Now, my favorite part of any book is the cumulative revision. So in a big picture, a really nice one, what you have to do is to find an element, okay? And if you have a look here, the elements to find are not only from one set of vocabulary, but from more. So this is what we can do when we ask students in pairs, for example, look at the picture and find all these small elements in the big picture. Can you see a snake? Let's make it interactive. Can you see a snake? Who's the first person to see a snake? Yeah, Natalia, can you see a snake? Lovely. Okay, for everyone who doesn't see a snake, I'll show you. Here is a snake. Okay, and for example, can you see a parrot? 1, 2, 3, quickly. Who sees a parrot? The cognitive development at the level of 7-year-old. Very good. Okay. They're perfect. A lot of people saw the parrot. Parrot is here. Okay. So yeah, so this is what we play with the students, revising vocabulary in a fun way, okay, in a more interesting way than normally. Categorizing, very important ability, because the brain is structured in such a way that when you learn a new word, it's not just put at random anywhere. It is put in a special folder. So in your brain, there is a folder labeled wild animals. And if you learn a new wild animal, it goes into this folder. That is why picture dictionaries are very important. Okay, so we can ask the students to make their own picture dictionaries, or we can have ready-made picture dictionaries for them. It's much easier to learn words in connected groups than just random words. Okay, and reasoning. Reasoning is very important life skill. This is about logical thinking, about seeing the relationships. So here we've got different birthday presents and we need to decide which present is what. Now, you have to have some prior knowledge. You need to have seen a bike to be able to recognize that the wrapped thing, number 4, is a bike. Okay, so this is something that also uses students' other knowledge apart from the language. Okay, because I have to take care of the time. I'm good. How do we teach? Well, we play games. Yeah, this is the age group. This is why I love this job so much, because you can play games. Okay, and when you're an adult, you probably already forgot how to play games, and you're not so skilled unless you have your own children at that age. But when you're a teacher, until the end of your career, you can play games. And that's what the great thing is about teaching young learners. So what are the games that I play with my students? First of all, why do we play games? Well, we play games because they are a very powerful teaching tool. Because they are the means through which children will understand what we want from them. Okay, lecture is not such an interesting thing. Game might be. Again, I'm showing off. The Ukrainian core curriculum recognizes the role of educational game that is adjusted to the age and cognitive abilities of young learners in the process of foreign language learning. So we are making game and play an element of our classes for a good reason, for a reason that is even recognized by the authorities. So the games, I told you we're going to look at object, visual, and traditional play. Okay, so let's start with the object games. Now, this is the activity with the balloon. Okay, now this is the activity that requires the students to cut out the balloon from the workbook and write, the students write their names however they can, in whatever language they can, in whatever alphabet is available for them. They write their names and then they walk around the classroom and they introduce themselves. Okay, now what I like to do with my students is, because I'm very much into objects, real objects, I work with prompts. Okay, so what I have is actually a real balloon. Okay, let me show you. Okay, it's a real balloon. I wrote my name on it. Okay, like that. Now, I tell my students to write their names on a real balloon, and then we collect the balloons, and then we switch the balloons, okay? So we are going to, we are playing a game in which the balloons are in front of the classroom, and this is my balloon, I'm giving it away, and then I'm taking whatever balloon comes to me. So let's do this, okay? Now I've got this balloon. You have to make sure that the students have balloons that are not their own. So for the reasons of my presentation today, I've got Ola's. Yeah, this is Ola's balloon, okay? And now what we have to do is walk around the classroom and ask the students, what's your name? And if I find Ola, and this is her balloon, I give it back to her. And I keep walking because I need to find my own, okay? So this is what we do. We come to the student, yes? We come to each other and ask her, what's your name?
My name is Sola. What's your name?
My name is Anna. Okay, it so happens these balloons match, okay? So now I've got my balloon back. We can add other information for that particular activity, like age, for example, okay? So you can write the age at the other side of the balloon and then ask another question. So I come to, we come to Ola, and I ask her, how old are you?
I'm 7. How old are you?
I'm 8, okay? And again, it matches, okay? Ola is 7, I give her balloon back, okay? And then I'm walking around the classroom finding my own. Now, coming back to my favorite activity of birthday, because the birthday topic is a part of the course book, and it's also a very good opportunity to practice vocabulary. Inside the balloon, you can put something, okay? I've got something in my balloon, it's a present. Okay, let's see what present it is. Okay, can you find yours? What do you have? And the lexical frame now is, what do you have? Okay, what do you have?
I have a car.
I have a car, let's show. Okay, so this is the present. You open the present. I have a car inside of the balloon. This really, I mean, it's not such a big deal to prepare that, but it really makes a lot of fun in the classroom. Okay, so prompts. Magic box. Yes, Jeanne talked to you about the magic box. I've got my own magic box here. It's got small hands. I'll squeeze mine. Okay, inside my magic box, I have a wild animal. Let's see who can guess. The lexical frame is, do you have? Try me. Do you have a? What animal do I have in here? Who's gonna ask me a nice question? Do you have a? Be brave. Who's gonna win? A zebra. Very, very nice. I like a question. Do you have a tiger? Do you have a lion? Yes, Ina. Well done. I think I've got a lion. Yeah, we've got a winner. Okay, now Ina is the next person to play. Okay, so we're going to close something else in the magic box. Very simple thing, because nothing, and it really is fun for the students. Okay, circle games. Circle games are those in which we are playing inside a circle, practicing a certain phrase. Okay, so our phrase here can be, for example, do you have? Okay, so I give my students an element of a pencil case, like a crayon, for example, and I keep it secret. And some other student in the circle needs to ask me, do you have a crayon? Okay, I like it to be with a color. So do you have a yellow crayon? No, I don't. Okay, and then I'm asking someone else for a piece. Okay, if I do have it, I have to give it away. Okay, and so the person who collects the most items is the winner, right? So circle games activities work like that. You can also practice other ones, like can I have a red crayon? Here you are, thank you. Okay, now mind you, the logistic tip: if you've got a big circle of 25 students, it takes a lot of time from one question to another. So what I tend to do, I start the sequence from the left and from the right at the same time, so that they don't have to wait for their question for so long. Okay, Yeah, so they're the chain requests and secret objects. Okay. Now, flashcard games. I'm sure you play flashcard games. Flashcard games, the ideas that work with my youngest learners best are these. Treasure hunt. So at the beginning of the lesson, I hide the cards somewhere in the classroom, and then when they enter, I whisper to every ear what they have to look for, and they have to find their flashcard. So if I say to one of the students, ball, and he finds a doll, for example, or a car, then he has to put it away because this is not the flashcard he's looking for. Okay, a good tip, make a list, okay, with the name of a student and the flashcard they are looking for, because they might cheat. The odd one out, okay? So like in this activity, we've got a ball, a girl, a car, and a robot. What's the odd one out? Yay, Natasha, well done. The girl is the odd one out. Okay, so I'm putting just whatever flashcards, 3 from the same set and 1 from another set, and we are trying to guess what's the odd one out. Stepping stones. So this is a kinesthetic activity. What we can do is put those flashcards on the floor and ask the students to jump on the ones that we call, or on the ones that another student calls, okay, in the right order. Mind you, I don't let my students jump on the flashcards because I like them. So I put pictures of feet next to those flashcards, and they have to jump on them. So like next to the flashcard, really. And guess what? Guess what? Guess what is the activity that you can see below in the dialogue? So we are, the girl is asking, what color is it? It's orange. Or if I say it's orange and green, what is it? It's orange and green. Which picture is that? Is a robot. Very good. Okay, Irina, well done. Natasha again, yes, well done. Listen, and you can also guess what on the negative side. So I can say, it is not blue. It is not yellow. It is not blue, and it is not yellow at all. Yes, Tanya, it's a robot. Okay, so you can ask either it is or it is not, and still play the game with the students. Guessing games are generally great. Okay, so this is what do I have in my pencil case? I got my pencil case here. What do I have in my pencil case? 1, 2, 3. What do I have in my pencil case? And the question is, do you have a? The whole phrase I need. Do you have a? Let me see how long it takes the teachers to get the lexical frame. See, of course you can, do you have a pen? Yes, I have a pen. Well done, Natalia. Okay, the idea is that, of course, they're going to shout out rubber or a ruler. I do have a ruler though. And the point is that I want them to say the whole sentence, okay? So the whole lexical frame is important, okay? And here is an example from the course book when we are guessing what animal I have on my mind, okay? Can it swim? Yes, it can. Can it walk? Can it run? And eliminating the other animals I'm guessing. Okay, flashcard games on the floor. Okay, so one of my favorite is the Contextual Snap, you know, the one with the fly swats. Okay, so with the fly swats, the problem is that if you put flashcards on the floor and you tell the students, all the students, put your hand on the card when I say it, and I say doll, and 25 students go and want to grab a doll, it's a life hazard. Okay, so they may kill each other by trying to get to the doll. So I'm doing contextual snap. So I'm walking around with the students around the flashcards, and I'm telling them a story. This also teaches them that in a story, they don't have to understand everything. They need to focus their attention and wait for the word. It's very difficult when you are in the first grade to have so much patience to wait for the word. So I, for example, say, it's sunny. Let's play with the ball. And this is the moment when they have to catch the ball flashcard, okay? Another one is when we put the flashcards in a circle and a bottle, you know, like a game for adults. I don't know if you play that one. you just twist the bottle, and whenever it stops, you have to name the flashcards. But because I like my students to have those lexical frames, they have to make a full sentence, okay? So they have to say, it's a doll, or I have a doll, okay? If I have strong groups, I tell them that the frames cannot repeat. So if I twist the bottle and it so happens that the result is a doll, and I say it's a doll, and you do it again, and you also get a doll, you cannot say it's a doll. You have to come up with a different frame. I have a doll. Okay. Magic eyes. Okay. I was planning to go through it, but I don't think we have so much time. Yeah, let's skip it. You know how to play that one? I just give you just one thing, because magic eyes is the activity that replaces something we call what is missing. Okay, so we've got flashcard here, and what have we got? We've got and you have to, if you are my class, you have to repeat with me. Okay, so we would go with all those. We would go all together: ball, crocodiles, doll, giraffes, plane, camels, robot, kite, hippos. Okay, so we would do that this way. Okay, and then I would say, close your eyes, close your eyes, close your eyes. You would close your eyes and then open. Okay, and I could ask what is missing, but there is one very important problem with that one. Okay, so if I ask you what is missing, there is always one student in the class, always the one that always knows everything. Okay, so he will, oh yes, like this one. Okay, oh, there are more like that. Okay, if I ask what is missing, there will be one person in the class who will shout out the answer, and the rest have no chance at all. So they very quickly learn that there is this one student in the class who will always shout out the answer. So you don't have to bother, okay? You don't have to try and remember, because he will always be the first, whatever you do. Not because his English is so good, but because his cognitive skills are better. He's a faster thinker, generally, okay? So magic eyes is the activity to try and avoid this situation. So in this activity, what we do is we read them out again. So I say shh, 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 because this is not what is missing game. We start again. Ball, crocodiles, doll, giraffes, plane, camel, robot, kite. Good. And hippos. And then I tell them, okay, close your eyes again. We put other cards away, and then again we start from the beginning, okay? And we go ball, and one by one, okay? Because the idea is that by doing that, we are revising the vocabulary many, many times, all of the words, and not only the one that is missing. So this is how we do it, okay? Until we have nothing left, okay? So this is the first half of magic eyes. Mind you, you have to do it at random, okay? Not like first, second, third card, but randomly. And then we are asking them what was in these places, okay? What was here, do you remember? Yeah, you remember because you're nice, okay? A kite, good. And do you remember what was here, I wonder? Well, we did it very quickly. It's because of the time limits. Normally, it would take us some time. Who remembers this one? Ah, camels. Very good. How about this one? Do you remember this one? Good memory. Yeah, giraffes. Well done. Okay, perfect. And so on. And we go on, and I ask them what was here. The point here is that the brain has to work harder, because you have to dig in your memory what card was there, okay? And the more you are involved, the more the brain is involved, the more likely it is to remember the words later on, okay? Yeah, so we do it with all of the other cards until we are, again, seeing all the pictures on the board. Yeah, you can stick it on the board, or you can play it on the floor, okay? So if you have space in the classroom, you can put them on the floor and get the students around them, or you can play it on the board easily. Okay, and the traditional games. I'm very much into traditional games in general, okay? Fruit salad, you know, this is the one, it's also called change place, okay? So you are putting the students in a group, in a circle. They can stand or they can sit, whatever they want. And we are saying what types of, what lexical elements change places. So for example, if we are practicing colors, I give the students strips of colors, colored paper, and I'm telling them, for example, blue change place. And all the students who are holding blue are going to change places very quickly, okay, with the other blues, okay? Or you can give them pictures of whatever vocabulary we are practicing. So fruit, for example. And we can make it more complicated. We can give them fruit and animals, and then start the game with apples change place, giraffes change place, and then say fruit change place. And all different fruit will have to change place, okay? Very fun, very kinesthetic. If you can play it outside, for example, in the garden, it makes perfect sense. Follow the leader. Mind you, not Simon Says, okay? Follow the leader is an activity that one of the students says, for example, jump, and all the other students follow his example, okay? Why is it better than Simon Says? Now, in Simon Says, there is one crucial problem. The person, you know how it works, yeah? If I say stand up, you can't stand up because I have to say Simon says stand up. If I say Simon says stand up, you stand up. If I say stand up, you don't stand up. Okay, now what is the problem? Now the problem is that we are punishing the students because if you do the wrong thing, you are out of the game. We are punishing students for correctly understanding the instruction. Because it doesn't matter if I say Simon says stand up and you stand up and you're good, okay? And I say sit down. Half of the class sits down. And now they're thinking, okay, so she said sit down. We sat down and we are out of the game. So what does it mean to sit down? And it's not the reason. The reason is I didn't say Simon says sit down. So for me, Simon Says introduces too much confusion for the students in the second language. Okay. So I always stick to follow the leader because it's clear. If the leader says sit down, everybody sits down and that's great. Okay. Yeah. Interestingly, there is no game listen to Sally. It's always Simon, yeah, you have to do what the man tells you to do. Okay. Can I cross the river, Mr. Crocodile? Traditional game, do you know this one? So you put the students on one side of the classroom and then they can cross to the other side of the classroom if something, okay? So there is a crocodile and they ask, can I cross the river, Mr. Crocodile? And Mr. Crocodile says, yes, if you have something red. Okay, and everybody with something red can cross. Okay, or can I cross the river, Mr. Crocodile? Yes, if you're wearing a t-shirt. Okay, and then you can do that. Okay, so that's the kind of activity. I spy with my little eye. You're looking around the classroom and you say, I spy with my little eye something blue. Okay, and then they have to look around the classroom and see what is blue in the classroom. Okay, when they start learning letters, you can also add one. I spy with my little eye something beginning with D, for example, door. And clapping games. Clapping games are absolutely favorite for my students, especially when we go outside and play. And they also play them during breaks. They don't have to. They don't have to use an English during the breaks, but they do because we play the clapping games in the class, okay? My favorite ones are those two, okay? The first one uses the old game of rock, paper, scissors. You know this one? Rock, paper, scissors, okay? Paper wins with rock, scissors win with paper, okay? And so this is how we play. Now, we add a little bit of the clapping game. If you want to see more, you can Google it up, and there are a lot of English children playing that, so you can see how it works. I will show you with my assistant. Okay, give me the hands. Okay, it works like this. Okay, it works like this. Goes like this. Tick, tack, toe. Give me a high, give me a low. Give me 3 in a row. Bunny got hit by you. F, O. Oh, and I lose. Aww, can you see that? Okay. If you got a little assistant, you can do that Together, okay, try again. Tic-tac-toe. Give me a high, give me a low. Give me 3 in a row. Bunny got hit by UFO. And I lose again, okay? And the other one? The other one is lemonade, crushed ice. And this is the one that uses the traditional game of freeze. Freeze and you can't move. If you move, you lose, okay? So this is how we do that. Okay, with the hands here. Okay, works like this. Lemonade, crushed ice. Drink it once, drink it twice. Turn around, touch the ground, freeze. You moved. Okay, so this is what you can do. You can Google it up, and you'll see children playing it in the playgrounds. My students like it a lot, and once we learn it, then they will play it during their breaks between the classes, which is great, I think. Okay, and the control, the last thing. These are the things that I use to keep control of my class when they get too agitated, too happy about playing the games. So the one that I use very often is Hocus Pocus. Can you get the rest? Everybody focus. Okay. And I'm also using class yes. So when I'm working with the youngest learners and I lose their attention, we have a code. I tell them, okay, I lose your attention. Then I'm going to say class. And you're going to say yes. The catch is that you have to say yes in exactly the same way I say class. So if I say class, class, you say yes, yes. If I say oh, class, you say oh, yes. Okay? And this is how it helps me control the youngest learners. Okay? Partners check, partners back. Okay, so this is to eliminate the situation in which I don't want to work with you, I don't want to be in a pair with a boy. Okay, so we have a rule that if I say partner check, they have to touch the first person that is sitting or standing next to them, and they become the partner for this particular activity. Bodies and chairs. When they are getting really tired, or there is too much of work with the course book in the classroom and they need a little bit of movement, I tell them to stand up and walk around the chair, saying bodies and chairs, which helps a bit. Crisscross, applesauce. So when I want them to sit in the area, in the carpet area, and they sit down like this. This is the crisscross seat. I tell them crisscross, and they say applesauce, and it helps me do that quite efficiently. Okay, they do it quite quickly. Also, what helps with the logistics is walk on syllables. So I tell my students, okay, now we are going to walk to the blackboard, for example, but I just don't want you just to run. Yeah, stand up and run. Okay, or we are going to leave the classroom, but you don't just stand up and run towards the door. I want you to walk in syllables. So they stand up and I give them a word like crocodile, and they have to walk crocodile. Okay, monkey, monkey. Okay, until they get to the door. Okay, so this helps me control the movement in the classroom. Okay, and teach switch, something that Jeanne showed you as mirror activity. So whenever one student is doing the activity, interactive communicative activity of asking question and answering, like what's this in this example, it's a pencil case. One person is asking the questions and answering them, and the other one is answering them. And then at one point, I want them to change roles, right? So I tell them at the beginning of the activity, okay, so ask and answer, look at 3, ask and answer, teach, okay? And at some point in the activity, I do the same, to switch. And they switch, and they become the, they do the opposite roles. Wow, so this is how I got to the end very quickly. There are obviously a lot of more ideas. I'm sure you've got your own ideas and many more than I do. Now, I just wanted to share those that work in my classroom. I hope they're going to work in your classrooms as well. Well, if you go into your classroom at the beginning of the school year, to the first graders, to the young learners, and you experience an attack of panic, take a deep breath, think about the control tips. You can Google it up. It's called whole brain teaching movement of classroom management. Take a deep breath, think about those, and offer the students a few games, and you will win their love and friendship forever. And most importantly of all, have fun. Have fun throughout the year, because teaching young learners, the best thing is having fun and being able to play games yourselves, all right? So thanks a lot for your attention and for being with us. It's been a great pleasure to talk to you here. Thank you.
Anchka, thank you very much for that great time that we've had with you. That was a pure pleasure. I've never taught primary students myself, but I feel like I'm ready to start. So hugs to Ola. Olichka, thank you for your help. You helped your mom a lot. So hope to see you as a future teacher.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dear colleagues, I want to remind you that a lot of exercises and games were taken from the book, which is called Way Ahead for Ukraine. It is already available at our local distributors. It was made specially for Ukraine and with 100% match with our program, with our ministry requirements. And the price, so we did our best actually to make the price affordable, and the price is 264 hryvnias. And student book and workbook is a set, which is a one book, because we know that we are not supposed to give home task to our first grade students. So I think it does make sense. So if you're interested, please contact local distributors wherever you are. Moreover, on our site, Macmillan Ukraine, so there are sample units that you can download. Moreover, there are ready-made lesson plans that we have developed for you. You can try. So there are audio, there are lesson plans, so there is a sample unit. So do not hesitate, go there, check and enjoy working with primary students as well. So, and we are having 5 minutes before our third presenter start her session. And you have another coffee break or whatever you need, and join us back in 5 minutes. Hello everyone, for those who have just joined us. So we need to say that this is our second day of online conference that we are running before a new school year starts. The session that we held yesterday would be available on our macmillanukraine.com in our archive shortly, or on our channel YouTube Macmillan Ukraine. Please check and make sure that you know all the news. So, and today our third speaker, our third presenter is a great, bright personality, a co-author of a book which is getting very popular in Ukraine. The book, which is called Get to 100. This book was designed specially for Ukraine to match our local exam, which is the NEO curriculum. Moreover, Marta Rosinska is a teacher trainer and author and examiner. So, and we are looking forward to listening to your tips, how else we can teach vocabulary to our school leavers. Marta Rosinska, happy to introduce you here, and I'm giving the floor to you.
Hello, can you hear me, anyone? Okay, anyone, can you hear me, please? Hello, hello.
Marta, we can hear you, but we cannot see you. Could you please turn your camera on?
Okay, is this okay now?
Yeah. Not yet. No video yet.
Well, I can see myself.
Okay, so you need to do something with the camera for us to be able to see you, please.
The camera is on. Start sharing, select camera.
Oh, it's a pity. We need to try. We need to do something. Oh, great. Here you are. Happy to see you. Welcome.
Okay, okay, can you see me now?
Yeah.
Hello, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I was worried that I got the times wrong, but it's okay.
Absolutely perfect. Everything's perfect. Happy to welcome you.
Yes, thank you very much for inviting me back to Ukraine. Lovely to be able to speak to your teachers again. Can they hear me? Can you hear me, teachers in Ukraine?
Yeah. All teachers can hear you clearly. Yeah. Welcome.
So that's great. Okay. So it's a great pleasure to be conducting the second webinar for Ukraine. In this one, I will be talking about lexical accuracy in relation to what we generally call the use of English and writing sections based on your exam in your country. You might be slightly puzzled by the picture that I have chosen for this seminar. Well, as you probably can recognize, it's a game of snooker, and I wonder if you have ever played snooker. Anyone? Is it a popular game in Ukraine? It is quite popular in Poland, and I will explain why I have chosen this particular game. It's like billiards, really, very similar to billiards. When it comes to the look of it, rather than perhaps the rules. Anyway, as I was introduced, thank you very much for the introduction. I am indeed one of the authors of Get 200, that was specially written for Ukraine, that deals with your school leaving exams. And I will be referring to this book and the activities from this book, which I had the pleasure of writing. And these activities basically come from my head, as well as my heart and my teaching practice. So it's quite important that you can see the connection between my teaching practice and the book itself. So I hope that's fine. Thank you. Super book, cool book. Yes, I'm happy. I put a lot of my heart into writing this book. Okay. Anyway, let's move on now. I have chosen the subject of accuracy for a particular reason. Over the last, we might now say perhaps decades, there has been a particular emphasis on teaching communication, therefore fluency, which of course is fantastic because we want our students to be able to communicate and to be fluent in English. But because of it, somehow accuracy started to play the second fiddle, became less important. And as you know, in the exams, accuracy is actually needed. And I will be showing you examples of how important accuracy is for your students taking your school leaving exam. So I would like to redress the balance between teaching fluency and communication and perhaps paying more attention to teaching accuracy. So this is the plan for today. Now, why snooker? Well, I have had a chance to watch a few matches because my husband likes it, my son likes it as well. And I've noticed that snooker players are very precise players. Playing snooker is about precision, about hitting the right target. And in order to be precise and put the ball in the right hole, snooker players use some equipment, and they use cue, which you can see, this is the cue, to make sure that they can put the ball where it belongs, in the right hole. And to help themselves, they also use things which we call rests. Can you see them? These little tools, devices, which they use to be even more precise. And what I want to show you today is what devices and what tools we as teachers can use to help students become more accurate. Okay, this is the plan, how to become more accurate. Teaching accuracy is extremely difficult for teachers in all countries, whether this is Poland, where I come from, or Ukraine, where you are from. Accuracy is probably one of the hardest things to teach. But there are tools which can help students become more accurate, like snooker players. Okay. Now, a lot of attention is actually devoted to use of English and writing in this book called Get 200. For a reason, both of these sections are demanding and pretty hard for the learners, because both, in fact, demand a lot of accuracy. Well, I know that in your writing exam, at least I've been told so, accuracy is not so much assessed. Is this correct? I was told that it is mainly the content that is assessed in your exam. Well, I will be trying to explain to you, as I have explained to myself, why accuracy actually affects the content and the actual fluency of what you write. Okay, only 2 points out of 14. Yes, which isn't a lot, but let me explain in a moment why actually accuracy is important from the point of view of your exam. Okay, so this, I don't know how well you can see this, but I'm sure you recognize this exercise. Your colleague from Ukraine sent it to me as an example of a task from your exam, school leaving exam. And this is this use of English section. And what I have noticed here, these options A, B, C, and D are actually pretty tough. Tough for the learner, because the learner really needs to know the meaning of the word very well, but above all, how the word is used and what company it keeps. Is it used with this word or another word? All of them are pretty similar. All of these options, in many cases, are very similar. So which one is the accurate one? That's why this accuracy of lexical accuracy, of knowing the exact phrase, actually matters. Now, when it comes to writing, this is again a task I was sent by one of your colleagues. Again, is from the exam writing. It doesn't seem difficult from the point of view of the content, perhaps. But what I have noticed among my students, that if students are not sure about the correctness of the phrase, they slow down. They stop and think. So, for example, a student may not be sure whether we say to be good at something or to be good on something, for example, the question of preposition. And because they're not sure, they stop, they slow down, and they lose time. There are students who don't really care about accuracy and just simply write anything that comes to their mind, or bless them, but a lot of the students actually worry about what they put down on page, and lack of accuracy slows down their fluency. And I hope you have noticed the same in your experience. Okay, so that's why this teaching accuracy, although, as you said, you get 2 points out of 14, you may think, oh, well, even if they make mistakes, that's fine, they will still pass. Of course they will, but accuracy will give them more confidence, okay, in dealing with the task well. Right, so what do we do? Well, basically, in my teaching, and I'll be trying to give you practical ideas and activities very soon. In my classroom, this is a regular occurrence, I introduce the so-called accuracy time. So let's say if I have my lessons are 45 minutes, 60 minutes long, 90 minutes long, depending on the day, I say, okay, 10 minutes or 15 minutes of the class is accuracy time. And this is the time when I care about the mistakes that you make, and we're going to make sure that you make as few of them as possible. So students know that this is the 15 minutes in which I'm going to be particularly focused on accuracy, where we're going to deal with accuracy rather than fluency and just communication. And the students like it. Actually, in my country, students like to be corrected. Obviously, we try not to overcorrect students because this is not the point. But I think when you introduce this accuracy time, then students realize that you care about how good they actually sound. The rest of the lesson can be fluency, can be communication, can be anything else. But I believe that we need to introduce this accuracy time moment as often as possible. It may not be possible every lesson, but we should try. Okay, I hope you agree. Hello to those of you who have just joined us. Okay, we have generally two approaches to teaching vocabulary, which is needed for both use of English and writing. Again, from experience of a teacher trainer and a teacher myself as well, I have noticed that a lot of teachers, sadly, focus mainly on the meaning of the word. So when they introduce new vocabulary, they tend to explain how the word is used, perhaps maybe offer a couple of exercises, some kind of context, but then don't really pay that much attention to form of the word and what this, for example, expression consists of. I will show you examples in a moment. So we need to think both about the meaning and the form of the expression. When it comes to writing, what we do in class, I don't know what you do in class, actually. I know what teachers in my country do in class. Writing is considered to be not so much fun for the learner, because writing is very effortful. You have to think a lot. So most teachers in my country come up with these sort of free writing activities where students work in pairs or in groups, and for example have to write a funny story, which is brilliant. It's fantastic when students can communicate through writing. But hardly ever do teachers then pay attention to accuracy. Therefore, again, we need to find time to introduce what we call processed writing activities. And again, as often as possible, but not too often, not to kill the learners. Okay? And again, in the second part of my webinar, you will see what I mean by processed writing activities that foster accuracy. As I said, it's very difficult to teach it, but as teachers, we can foster it, help students develop accuracy. So these are the 2 points of my accuracy game. Okay, so this leads to quality because accuracy is connected with quality of teaching. The more accurate you sound, obviously, the better communicator or speaker of English you will be. Okay, so what are these tools, these rests, they call them in Snooker? What can we as teachers do? Right, let's kick off. Now, I'd like you to have a look at these. I'd like you to have a look at these phrases, please, so that you can see. They come from my B2 class. B2 class. The lesson was about, as you probably can judge by the word, expressions rather, about crime. There were more expressions, but I have selected these ones because I think students often make mistakes with these words, so I have selected these expressions. Obviously, we worked on the meaning of these words, and the students were comfortable, they knew what these words meant. We also put them in some kind of sentences so that they had some context. But what happened the next class? Next class, I gave them, I'd like you to have a look at, let somebody off, yes, with the fine, keep an eye on, a brush with the law, place under arrest, stand up in court, stand trial, not stand up trial, etc. Notice that these phrases, like many others in English, are full of either articles or prepositions, or for some reason there is no article, for example, yes, or here or here. So this is all confusing for the learners because generally trial is countable, but somehow stand trial is, there is no article before it. It's all very confusing. That's why we need to stop, pause from time to time, and let students think about the form of the whole phrase rather than just the meaning. So the next lesson, I present students with a list like this, and I tell them, okay, we looked at these phrases last lesson. Can you now tell me what is wrong with them? I know you know the meaning, perhaps, but do you remember what prepositions or articles, or maybe I have changed some words and they are wrong? So the students work at these phrases, and now the point is not the meaning of the phrase, but the point is to make sure that students get the form right. And when this happens, students pay attention to accuracy. Again, the next lesson, I can show students again the same expressions mixed up again with any other kinds of mistakes and get the students to put them right. Now, I know that some teachers are against showing students language with mistakes, but the research actually says that it's only dyslexic students who have this kind of a problem. So if you have plenty of students with dyslexia, this may not be the best activity in the world. But for students who don't suffer from this particular learning difficulty, let's say, are fine with these activities and they actually appreciate them because these activities show to them the form of the word. And the more we practice English like this, the better the students eventually become. And I stress eventually, yes, because they need a lot of tools, a lot of attention and a lot of exposure to accuracy in order to value accuracy. And you have to tell them that accuracy is important. When it's important to you as a teacher, it's important to them as learners. This is how learning works. Okay, now, when you look at this phrase, I asked my students in my class, this was last May, I believe, when I was teaching the expressions, and there was, I said, which of these is correct? Keep the I on or keep an I on? And some of them remembered it was the second option, yes. Some of them thought it was this one, because if it's the I, then it's someone's eye, so it's not anyone's eye, it's a particular eye, etc. They started thinking about this. And I said, well, no, this is a fixed expression, and this is, you need this particular article. And this one boy said to me, but what does it matter? When I say, keep the eye on, keep an eye on, somebody will understand. And I said, yes, if all you do is learn for communication, that's fine. But if you want more than communication in your life and communication in sort of incorrect English, then it is important. And I showed students examples of phrases in Polish, which I can't share with you, obviously, because it's not your native language. But I have two phrases in Ukrainian. Which is correct one? Which of the? I hope I got it right because I don't really. Okay, everybody says the first one is fantastic. Oh, brilliant. Okay, good. that went well. Thank you for help. Now, yes, it is the first one. Again, in Ukrainian, if I went to your country and I used the second phrase, you would understand, wouldn't you? Yes, fine, no problem. But if I wanted to score some points in the exam, maybe, or choose the right item in multiple choice, I can't use the second phrase. I have to use the first one, okay? And this is the problem with accuracy, that students have to become accurate if they want to be good speakers of English and if they want to do well in the exam, because this is what they get points for ultimately, for example, in the use of English. Yes, I know you can recognize the second phrase. Sure, it's sure, no problem. But it's a question of accuracy. Okay, now what helps accuracy? Apart from the exercise I have shown you, the one where you take away words or mix words and students have to think of the right combination of words in a particular phrase. Obviously, any word formation exercises which stress accuracy. There are plenty of these exercises in Get 200. And again, some teachers say, well, yeah, but word building and formation is not tested in the exam in different levels, blah, 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 which is fine. But again, the more words you can create and create correctly, the more English you know and the more fluency you have to express the meaning. So the more word formation exercises we present to our students, the better chance we give them to expand their vocabulary, number one. Number two, offer them extra fluency in the exam. Okay. Now, another exercise that we promote heavily in Get 200 are all kinds of gap fill exercises. Do you have gap fill exercises in your exam? Because the examples I've been sent, I didn't see any gap fill exercises. Do you have any? Yes. Okay. Yes. No. You say yes. No. Maybe it depends on the level. No. Okay. Well, in Poland, the exam is at two different levels. There's the basic one and the extended one. Okay. And in the basic exam, which is the B1-ish level, there is no gap fill. However, B2-ish level, there are gap fills. But I recommend this kind of exercise to anyone because gap fills mean that you have to think in your head about one and only word that fits the gap, which means you have to switch on your accuracy mode. Yeah? So the more, again, we gap text out or sentences out, we force our students to think about the accurate word that should complete the gap. Okay, so you could gap out songs, anything that, but make sure the gap can only be completed with one word. Yes, not anything that comes and goes, but just one word. So these kinds of exercises help a lot. Obviously, what helps a lot is also all kinds of exercises where students have to choose the correct form, especially when the words look similar or potentially confusing. So we have actually included a lot of practice on words of this kind. Yes, like, for example, look at example 4 here. My dad asked me to choose some fruit from the shop. Again, accuracy is also about careful reading of the task or the text or the sentence in the exam. Pick and choose could both be used, I suppose, if it wasn't for up, because when we have up, obviously we have to choose pick. Yes. So this kind of focusing students' attention helps them become more accurate. As I keep saying, it's very difficult to teach, but we can point students, we can cue them in the right direction. Another thing is, which is part of the exam in Poland, but it doesn't really matter, is all kinds of exercises where students have to translate into their own language. Now, in this case, you have a task, which is sort of typical task where you match up collocations and you arrive at correct expression, yes? And you translate them into your language, in your case, Ukrainian. But the point is then, I believe, to cover, obviously, the English equivalent, use your Ukrainian equivalent, and put the expressions back into English. Yes, I'm sure you're familiar with back translation. But the point is that you then cover the English and get the student to translate back from Ukrainian into English, and then you notice if the students are actually accurate. Yes, did they remember was it singular or plural? Did they remember the article? Did they remember the right preposition? This is what fosters accuracy. Now, I tell you a little anecdote. Well, it's not really funny, but it's from my life. I'm studying French. Don't know why. I love the language, but it's so difficult. Anyway, I studied French, and a few years ago I came across a book. It's a book published by a Polish publisher. It says here, Grammar for French in Translation. This is in Polish, French in Translation. And I thought, maybe I should give it a go, see if it really helps me become more accurate or helps me anything. So the book works in the following way. On the left, you have some sentences here, yes, from 1 to whatever, 15, 16, that you are supposed to translate into French. And on the opposite page, you have the answers. So I thought, let's see. I looked at these sentences and I translated them as well as I could. And then I compared with the answers, the correct answers. What happened? It happened that I was very fluent. I could communicate the meaning, but I was awfully inaccurate. There were all kinds of words missing, all kinds of endings were wrong, and stuff like this. So I thought, maybe this is actually a very good way, and I'm talking about translation. It's a very good way to become more accurate, to pay attention to, for example, articles, prepositions, different verb forms, because I can focus and I have to think about my own language and how different, in fact, it is to the foreign language I'm studying. So translation has been undermined for many years, but I think is now back in fashion. And I can see it works for me and it works for my students. So in Get 200, we have included a number of exercises to give the students the chance to practice English like this. Okay, along the same lines, those of you who teach from Get 200 know that we have these sections, Fish for Words. Yes, these sections are both in the reading and listening sections. And why? Well, we want the students to get acquainted with as many expressions, as much vocabulary as possible. We want the students to be able sometimes to reread or re-listen different texts in order to fish for words or expressions which are actually important. So we take these words out from the book, or the text, and then we practice them below. Again, we try to practice them in a way that fosters accuracy, so that the students, if they're not sure, they can go back to the text and find the correct equivalent, yes, and then put them obviously in another text. So that's important to us. Another task which I find is very useful for the learners, again, this one is from Get 200, is where we work on equivalents. So we teach students phrases like, for example, went our separate ways, or are you like Tim, or what a pity, etc. And we get the students to match them up with the right equivalent. Yeah, so not all of them match, only one. Which one is it and why? Again, it focuses students' attention on the right synonyms, okay, which helps them acquire more vocabulary ultimately. One of my favorite tasks, actually, which I use a lot with my learners, is the following. I give students sentences like those, and if you have a look at them, you will see that there are words missing, actually one word missing in each sentence. The students have to read the sentence and obviously put in the missing word. Again, you focus on typical mistakes that your students in your country make. These are mistakes that students in Poland often make. And you get the students to add missing words. Again, the students then focus not so much on the meaning, but they focus on the form. This is what we need to foster, as I keep saying. Okay? Now, with more advanced learners, maybe brighter students, or when you have more time, or a simpler text, not just the sentences that you can see, but you give the students a text, short one, and get the students to add 5 missing words to the text. They don't know which words these are. They just have to read the text very carefully and not concentrate on the meaning, but concentrate on the form and insert the missing words. If you want to make it easier, of course, you can give the words at the top for the students to insert into It really focuses students' attention on accurate form, not just the meaning. On the meaning, you can work later on. There's nothing stopping you from getting the students to talk about the text or answering questions about the text. But there needs to be this accuracy, a time, I call it, yes, where students actually focus on more than just the meaning. I hope it's clear. Okay. I'm not sure how it works in your country, but it definitely is a problem in Poland, where students confuse certain words because they look similar, or in English they kind of are similar but different, like dish and meal, or cuisine and kitchen, or recipe receipt, or chef and chief, or tasty and tasteful. Yes, these are the words that students sort of know, but they're not sure about, or they know, but they think they know, but then they don't know how to use. And again, in Get 200, I was determined to introduce as many sections of this kind as possible to clear up the mess in students' heads as much as possible by pointing out these confusing words. Again, it leads to accuracy, helps students, because sometimes they don't even know there is a difference. Yes, like terrific and terrible, they think they both mean the same. They don't even realize that there could be a difference. It's our role, the teachers, to point it out. The same goes for words of this kind. I'm sure you teach from Get 200, you will have seen this exercise. Again, words which most students in the world confuse: lend and borrow, fit and suit, similar, the same. They are the same, but not similar, if you know what I mean. So again, the more we focus on the differences, on the confusing expressions, obviously, the better. Okay, yes, can you lend me some money? That's a good one. Right, now, another task which works with good students, I would say, but not necessarily students who can focus. Let's put it this way. I don't really want to divide students into weak ones and bright ones. It's those who can and want to focus, and those who don't want to focus in many cases. Now this text, because I don't speak Ukrainian very well, so I don't really know what mistakes your students make, typical mistakes, but I can take you through mistakes that our students make, and I'd like you to think about whether or not your students make the same mistake. So have a look at this text. When I was young, I attended the same school as Tim. Well, our students would put attended to the same school. Yes, we say attend to the school rather than attend school. We had actually met and made friends on the first day and remained close until the day later in our lives when he rang again. Polish students would say rang to me, not rang me, to me, to let me know he was having an affair. It's countable in English, with my girlfriend. Okay, so I made 3 mistakes in this text. Well, I made one mistake, sorry. I made one mistake in this text. One, there's no an, yeah? The rest is correct. I give students a task like this, a text like this, short one. And above, I give them words. Can you see these words? Yep, okay. And I say, right, this is a text, and above there are some words. Some of them, maybe one, or maybe two, or maybe all of them, fit into this text. Can you read it very carefully and decide which of these words can go into the text? And this is where serious work begins, because they have to decide if, number one, any of these words fit in, and how many. And please note that there is word to here. And most of my students, first time I did this task, obviously put to, attended to the same school, and attended and ranked to me. And ranked to me. Automatically, because this is the Polish mind. I repeated similar exercises regularly, and I will when I go back to school very soon. And the more I get my students to do tasks like this one, the more accurate they become, and they don't want to fall into my traps. So they think whether or not this is Polish way we say it or the English way we say it. Okay, so I hope you can see the point of this exercise. It is demanding, but again, learning has to be effortful in order to be successful. No learning happens unless there is effort on the part of the students, as I'm sure you know. Well, somebody said here, Irina, we practice proofreading. In a sense, you are right. You may even call it proofreading exercise. Of course, it has to be within the intellectual limits of your students. They must be familiar with these structures. You can simplify the text and make maybe some other mistakes of these and take out some other words. It depends on the level of your students and your needs for that matter. Right. Another thing is which I often do as a teacher, and I believe it's crucial, that when we teach, we actually think of, at certain moments, obviously we have to think all the time when we're in the classroom, but there are some moments where we need to think more often, okay? And I came across, I was a task in the Polish exam where the phrase with attention was used, and it wasn't pay attention, it was actually give something your attention. Give something your attention. Some students, actually my colleagues, they were not mine, some of my colleagues' students, they didn't choose give, they chose pay. The phrase was, I hope you will give this matter your attention. The students didn't think about this particular part of the exam. They just chose pay because they know the expression pay attention. They didn't come across the expression give something your attention. So this is what I would do as a teacher in my class with my students. For example, the expression pay attention comes in my teaching from a text. I come across pay attention. So I say to my students, okay, let's stop a second. Knowing that attention forms other collocation. Yes, I know it as a teacher because I can speak English. So I'll stop and I say, okay, in this text we came across the phrase pay attention, but I want to teach you other phrases with attention, like draw attention, have attention, and give something your attention. Now, can we work in pairs, in groups? Maybe we want to use dictionaries. You can use me, you can use your friends. Can we find out how these words, expressions are actually used, and can we use them correctly in a sentence? This is again building on what students know. They know pay attention, and they think that this is the only possibility with the word attention because it's probably the most common expression. Oh yes, but not the only one tested in the exam. So again, the more exposure, the more students are aware that something like this. Another thing is when we have to do this extra thinking in class, and these are just examples. Think about the word encourage. What is the opposite of encourage? As I'm sure you know, it is discourage, yes? Okay, excuse me, just a little water. Now, think about the, not the meaning, because the meaning students will know encourage, discourage, okay? But think about the usage of this phrase. We say encourage somebody to do something, but we say discourage somebody from doing something. So again, when I see the word encourage in my teaching in a text, I stop and I say, look, we have encourage, this is how this is used. We'll also have discourage, and this is how it is. It opens their eyes to these differences. Another word where I often stop in my class is fail, because most of my students know the meaning fail an exam. How about your students? Probably the same, yes? Fail an exam is the most typical collocation they can think of. Yeah, exactly. But apart from fail an exam, we can also say fail to do something. Opposite of succeed in doing something, which a lot of the students are not aware of. So they wouldn't say, I failed to find, I failed to ring you, I failed to do my homework, simply meaning I didn't manage to, because they are not aware of it. So how can they be accurate then in choosing their multiple choice options if they, for example, don't know the meaning of fail to do? They would not think about it. Look forward. Another expression where I stop and think for my students. What is the problem with this phrase? At least, I don't think this is just Polish, this is across the world. Look forward is followed by to. Yeah? I look forward to. Then when you see to as a learner, you think, I look forward to see you. And again, it's wrong. I look forward to obviously seeing you, to doing something. And again, if I don't point this out as a teacher, they will not be able to choose the right option. And imagine in multiple choice task in your exam, for example, I look forward to do, doing, do, etc. Yeah? The students have to be made aware of these critical, sometimes, phrases. Now you may think, oh, well, how am I supposed to know where to stop and think in class for the students? Well, it's up to you. The more you point out to them those critical, difficult phrases, obviously, the better. This is sort of trying to develop, in a sense, the knowledge of the words and how they work. Okay, so these were the, in terms of vocabulary as such, how we develop accuracy. I have a very limited time. Maybe when I come to Ukraine, I'll be able to tell you more about this. But for now, let's move on to the other part, which is writing. As I said at the beginning, although you get only 2 points yet in your exam for accuracy, unless you are accurate, you're not fluent. Basically, you start writing something, and then you wonder, is this correct? Is this incorrect? Is this what is good? Is this what it means? Is this how I write it? And then it slows you down, and you lose time in your exam. So the more accurate you are, the better, the quicker you think, and as a result, write a better letter or email or essay or whatever else. Okay. Again, I mentioned this free writing, which is an excellent opportunity for the students to become fluent, yes, to just write down their ideas, to think of a good story, for example. But there also needs to be time when students are given the opportunity to prepare for writing, especially if it is an exam piece where they have to just more than think of a story that is going to be funny but completely wrong from the point of view of the exam requirement. So there needs to be time concerned for formal accuracy and time to give students to think about what they are supposed to write. So in Get 200, again, go back to the book. We have plenty, obviously, of exam tasks for your students to deal with. But we, instead of just giving them the task and say, okay, just write your letter and I'll see how good it is, we prepare students in all shapes and forms for this activity. And again, there are a few I want to share with you, a few of these cues, rests that push students in the right direction. Okay, this section is very popular among teachers in my country, and I hope those of you who teach from this book also like it. In the writing section, we have this section called Know Your Phrases. Okay, so we give the students a task, which you saw a second ago, and phrases, which the student can sort of lift, as it were, from this exercise straight into their writing, so they don't have to maybe spend too much time thinking about their own phrases. Now, what we want the students to do is activate. This is now in your language, so you can read it. And if you look at these phrases, yes, or these maybe instructions, actually instructions, what we want the students to do here is what they learned here. So we force them, in a sense, very brutally. We force them to activate the same words. Why do we force them to activate the same words? Well, we force them to activate the same words because it helps their accuracy. If they copy what is already correct and express the same meaning using these phrases. Okay. This process writing also means that you encourage your students to think of synonyms, for example. So if you forget one in the exam, maybe you will remember the other one. You want your students to get points for not just the content as such, but maybe for the quality of the language as such. So you want to encourage your students to learn equivalents of get. Yes, I got the bus, which means what? I took the bus. Yes, I got on the bus. I got an email. I received an email, for example. Yes, the film was good. Well, the film was amazing. It was terrific. It was lots of other things. Again, the more synonyms the students know, the more likely they are to expand their vocabulary and therefore become more fluent, but also accurate. Okay. I like exercises of this kind where we, again, cue, like in Snooker, cue students to expand ideas. So they have to rewrite certain sentences by adding details. Okay, this is a simple text, like I went to a restaurant, it was my birthday, I like the menu a lot, the food tasted very good. Now, this is very simple, probably too simple for your exam as well. You want your students to expand, okay? And again, this is accuracy time, so when they expand, first of all, fine, they can think of ideas simply for fluency, but then you stop and you actually proofread, as one of you said, okay? So to make sure that whatever students produce accurate. I like all kinds of exercises like this. They are really horribly difficult. Oops, horribly difficult for me in French, for example. Well, they were difficult for me in French until I was sort of pre-intermediate, and my knowledge of grammar and how accurate forms work was really limited. But when I became intermediate and then upper intermediate, like B2, for example, suddenly I could see and connect how words go together in a sentence. They are still quite not the easiest in the world, but I can do more and more of them confidently. As you can see, what you have to do is to complete the sentence using the words in the correct order. This is working on accuracy, guys. Yes, this is hard work. You don't have to give them 8 examples straight away. Give them, I don't know, 2 every lesson, and get them to think of grouping words to make correct. It is difficult, that's why it's called challenge. But even at lower levels, you could, mix up sentences like I like swimming with my sister. Okay, this is pre-intermediate level. Mix up the words and get the students to put them back in. It does help the accuracy a lot. Think about the form, not they need to know that like is followed by, for example, error. This is thinking about accuracy. Right. The same goes for. This is more difficult, where we don't just work on individual sentences like we did here. Okay. In this case, we work on a text. So there's a lots of prompting, as you can see, lots and lots and lots of prompting. Expressions ready for the students, but they need to put them into grammatically and lexically correct text. Again, the text can be very, very simple. She, stroke, like, stroke, swim, stroke, in, stroke, swim, pool, for example. And they have to add the right endings and prepositions, and this focuses again, saying their attention on. Well, I will have to come to the end of this talk, unfortunately. I could talk on forever about accuracy, because I think it's something that is lacking in our education. Although I'm quite happy that students are fluent and communicative and they can talk. This is lovely as well. But if you prepare students for the exam, you know how important it is to make them accurate. Okay. When it comes to grammar, this is I think the last exercise. One of my favorites as well, I must say. I give the students a sentence, for example, I'm learning English. I'm learning English. And I get my students to complete this sentence using all of these different adverbs or linking words, yes, here. And again, I'm learning English despite having problems, although I have problems. I'm learning English while she's learning French, etc. To complete this, you really have to know a lot of English, and you really have to be accurate in your structures. Again, this is sort of B1 level type of task. Obviously, you can change the words, make them harder, easier, depending on how you feel. But this is just a little sort of grammar accuracy. I could talk about teaching grammar accuracy, but maybe some other time. Not today. But I thought I would just smuggle this exercise in because it helps students expand the way they can then put down things in their writing. For example, they can connect sentences in writing because they feel confident that they can use these structures accurately. So it's also worth promoting among students. Okay, so these were my suggestions, ideas. As I said, a limited number of them because of the time given. But maybe I can, as I said, when I go to Ukraine, I can present some more activities and see you all rather than through the screen, really. Okay, so these are my ideas. This is why Snooker. It's a game of precision, and for students to do well in the exam, they also need precision, and I hope you agree, really, with that. And thank you, Ukraine, for being a nice audience. I don't know you, but I like you.
Thank you very much, Marta. We do appreciate a lot everything that you've told us, everything you've shared with us. Moreover, so we know that on the 31st of October, we will have a chance to talk to you personally, to hug you and to say a big thank you for your great book we are having in Ukraine now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much as well. Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you soon.
And
dear colleagues, so yes, that's true. So on the 31st of October, we are looking forward to having Marta Rosinska in Ukraine as a speaker. And that will be the right time for you to come to the session and to talk to her personally. For all our guests, for all our colleagues today, thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for joining us. We hope that this two-day conference has equipped you with the most effective tools and strategies and made you more prepared with, better attitude, better atmosphere for the new school year. And as a Macmillan team in Ukraine, we want to wish you a lot of inspiration, being appreciated, loved and respected not only by students and parents, but also by school authorities. And of course, professional growth, it is something that we are doing our best to provide you with. Thank you very much. So very shortly, you'll see the link in the chat box. So it is a blue color that you will be able to follow. Yes, here it is. And get your certificates for joining us for this two-day conference. Thank you very much. All the books that you have had a chance to look through and to work through, which are way ahead for Ukraine, Learning Stars and Get 200, are available with our local distributors. If you don't know where the distributors are, you can go to macmillanyukraine.com. And we have the special bookmark where to get the books. So please find the nearest ones and contact them as methodologists, we are ready to either to come to your school or to arrange a Skype webinar, a Skype seminar, if you want to know more how to work with our books in the most appropriate way. Thank you very much. Have a good school year. Looking forward to seeing you both personal and at our seminars and webinars. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.